And we are live. What is going on, everyone? It's your boy Johnny Dunn, and we are back with another one today. Another epic VeVe live stream. Nothing crazy. We just got one blind box Marvel comic book today. Shout out to everyone joining the live stream. I'm going to break down the edition count, the covers. Got a couple great videos to go over today. Hodl or sell video from Comics and Crypto. VeVe and 3 breakdown, little hype video once again. And then we're going to tune into NFT Pirates, Superstar Money. Great collab they got going on right now. The video is live. So we're going to dive into a little pre-drop, post-drop. Shout out K Walker in the building. First one in the building today. Deserve a drop, my man. Hopefully you get a little ultra rare. Maybe a little uncommon. Loving the uncommon. Shout out to you. I'm going to break down these covers, what I think about them, if it's a hodl or sell for me. And I'm going to break down which cover I like the best. Share my screen real quick. Break these down. We got New Mutants, annual number 2, issue number 2. I like a lot of these VeVe exclusives today. Here's the common. Again, nothing too crazy for the edition count. Nothing too rare or, crazy limited. It's 30,000 total editions, so your standard comic book run lately. 21,000 for the common. 5,000 for the uncommon. 2,350 for the rare. 1,050 for the ultra rare. 600 for the secret rare. This is what the secret rare looks like today. Here we got the ultra rare. Huge fan of this one. Shout out to the Todd Filer Crypto Khaki. I know he was just talking about the other day, putting a lot of these comic books. I think it was the rare. He was a big fan of talking about how he's going to put them on his wall behind the golden moments. I think that's the kind of stuff that we're going to start to see a lot more as we get closer to that date of putting these in our showrooms. If you guys haven't tuned into the VeVe and Akomi community update video, they did just post that the other day. I went over it last night after the Twitter Spaces. They gave some insight on when we can expect that. It's right around the corner. I think the website is live, and so not live for the public, but in production or development. So, I mean, it's almost finished. So it looks like it's going to be rolling out in a little bit. Here's the rare cover. Loving this rare cover too. I think the white and black background really makes this color pop here. Got the uncommon. Kind of like the uncommon too. K Walker is kind of right with that. I think what it is that white and black background with all these, characters in the colorway. I think that makes it stand out, makes it pop a little bit. Shout out Willow Kid. Shout out Energy. How we doing, fam? How we doing? I'm going to go over a couple of videos today. The first one I'm going to go over is Comics and Crypto hodl or sell video. This second one is from VeVe and 3, Corey and Heather. Make sure you guys subscribe, like the channel, all that good stuff. And then we got being a superstar on VeVe is way easier than we think. Only $1,000 to be in the top 1% for Master Collector Program. We got NFT Pirates, Superstar Money. So we're going to check that video out as well. That's going to probably be the last one because it is going on right now. And it is a little bit longer. So it's going to be exciting to dive into those details. Or I should say those videos. Let's dive right into the hodl or sell video from Comics and Crypto. Little 3-minute long video.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Hodl or Sell, where we'll be breaking down New Mutants Annual Number 2. In the end, we will let you know if we plan to hodl or sell. As always, this is not financial advice, but purely for entertainment purposes only. Also, if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that notification button to receive updates on all our content. This video is sponsored by Elite Comics 11, Instagram's #1 community-powered comic sales page. This Wednesday, April 27th, we are getting the modern age comic New Mutants Annual Number 2, first appearance of Psylocke. Story by Chris Claremont with cover and art by Alan Davis. Psylocke is one of the most experienced telepaths among the X-Men, and she has received several power upgrades across time. Starting out with precognitive abilities, she has grown capable of manipulating people's minds and projecting powerful psychic blasts. Think of her like
She's an alien.
Ray and Professor X in one. Based on comic book history, she has the potential to be more powerful than Wanda Maximoff, which could be an interesting take if she does appear in the MCU. Psylocke appears in 2 X-Men films, both by different actors, which includes Mae Malunken in X-Men The Last Stand and Olivia Munn in X-Men Apocalypse. Both on-screen portrayals did not mention or show the character's strong telepathic powers. Even though these films were produced by Fox, there is speculation that the character could appear in the MCU, with Disney now owning the rights to all Fox subsidiaries. According to Go Collect, New Mutants Annual Number 2 as a 9.8 grade is currently valued at $600, with the 9-day average of $747. For my final verdict, I give this book a hodl.
Let's go.
Despite her brief introduction into the X-Men films produced at Fox, her popularity will likely grow if she reappears in the modern MCU. It's for this reason that if we land the comic on drop day, we will hodl as we anticipate more spec news to come out over time. If the news turns out to be true, the value of Psylocke's comic will likely increase in both physical and digital formats. That being said, we won't be going heavy on the open market on drop day. We save this strategy for comics with safer floors and bigger upside, like Werewolf by Night number 32. Please make sure to reference
nice little shout out to Werewolf right there.
Each comic definition and ranking. The link will be included in the details below. Overall, we still believe that Silver Age, Key, and Grail books should have the best long-term value. Also, if you would like to see our weekly comic book rankings, please make sure to follow us on Twitter at Comics and Crypto, where we will have new VeVe comic book rankings every Monday. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and check out the rest of our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. Along with our weekly episodes, we will also be doing a hodl or sell video the day before every drop to help you make the best decision for your collection.
Nice little hodl we got from Comics and Crypto. I think it's been a little while since we actually got a hodl. So, nice little spec comic book coming out today. I think that's the way I'm going to treat it too. I kind of had those same thoughts on this one where I'm not going to go heavy on this one, but I'm going to go for the drop. If I get a good rarity, amazing. If I get another comment, that's cool too. I'll just keep it. That was a great chop up. Just hopped off Pirate's channel. We're going to give it another watch in a little bit. Willow, definitely a good video. I like how you stream early like this. Let's go, Matt Smith. I feel like, I don't know where you're from, Matt, but there's people all around the world, so I feel like an early morning stream for me could be a late night stream for a lot of people around the world. I know some people are just getting up. I know some people are just going for the drop. So I try to, keep it in the mornings just because with the drops, it's easy for me, but it's all different times for people around the world. There was a point in time when I was doing late night live streams, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Eastern time. And then it was kind of like the morning or afternoon for other people around the world, but that caught up with me big time. Let's go. VeVe with JD in session. That's a fact. Crypto Cade. We here. We got Chasing Sundays. Good morning, fam. We got Punch in the building. Let's go. Punch on the smart TV. I'm liking it. Hey, Punch, speaking of smart TVs, can you imagine one day when we start having, like a VeVe app for a lot of these televisions to start portraying on the screens your VeVe NFTs, the VeVe artwork? I think that kind of stuff will eventually happen. 5 p.m. for K Walker. Let's go. See, absolutely, K Walker. I think we're going to start to see that. A lot of times, just like you said, people were against the internet when it first came out. People were against digital music streaming when it first came out. A lot of times people wanted to feel that physical, tangible item in their hand. I completely understand. And some people will always want that. It's the digital world. This digital age may not be for 100% of the world. There's still going to be people that like the physical comics a little bit more, physical collectibles a little bit more, physical CDs, records a little bit more. But I think as we continue to move into this age, more and more people are going to get into the digital, especially the younger generation. Once they realize it's a lot more convenient, the ease of access, just a lot less friction when you have the digital. So that's the hodl or sell video from Comics and Crypto. We're going to dive into another, great content creators. Corey and Heather, VeVe 3. Little hype video for this comic book today.
Welcome back to VeVe 3 with me, Corey.
And me, Heather.
And we've got another new comic and another new first appearance.
Oh.
Betsy Braddock, a.k.a. Psylocke, will be materializing onto the app in New Mutants Annual number 2. And this one's going to be dropping on Wednesday, April 27th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And while Psylocke was in the X-Men Apocalypse movie, and keep in mind that was a Sonyverse movie, not a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, for a lot of people she might be kind of a question mark of a character, even though she is a very legitimate character in the X-Men universe with a lot of traction, especially in the Marvel comic universe. Let's take a look at the character, the comic, and a little bit of MCU speculation. Where might we see her next?
This comic was released, according to Marvel, on January 1st, 1986. And for those of you who just like reading comics, you'll get your money's worth with this 49-page comic. And Betsy has her telekinetic powers in this comic, but she's blind. Prior to this, she had been gifted a Captain Britain costume from a different dimension. And
just real quick, talking about that 40-page comic. Is anybody reading the comics? Let me know in the chat if you guys are reading the comic books. I've yet to read the comics. So I think it's one of those things where I'm going to start to get into. I'm not going to read any of my 3-digit comics that I feel like are holy grails just because I don't want to risk, I'm going to keep it intact basically, just in case, 5 years from now, the green check means a lot or whatever the case is. So I just want to keep those unread. But I do want to read some of these, so I definitely will. Let me know in the chat.
In one of her early battles, she quickly found herself outmatched by a villain by the name of Slaymaster. He beat her down and ripped out her eyes. This comic shows us what happens in the aftermath and the rebirth of her new abilities.
And ultimately, this character has had a long and very robust character arc that's been between villain, hero, lover, assassin, butcher. She's really done it all. And she is one of those A-tier, kind of A-list X-Men universe characters because her powers are visually appealing and beautiful, and her character arc itself is very interesting, and it just reads well as a story.
The Uncanny X-Force series, which is arguably one of the better X-Men stories in recent memory, has her as a lead character and is one of the better written stories we've chanced upon. We mentioned earlier that this character was featured in the Sonyverse X-Men Apocalypse movie, but what about future use in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Betsy Braddock is the twin sister of Brian Braddock, who is Captain Britain, and Avengers Endgame, Braddock was mentioned specifically. And the person who mentioned Agent Braddock in that scene was Peggy Carter, whose variant, Captain Carter, is very much alive and well in the MCU. And between that Easter egg that we saw in the movie and the fact that X-Men are clearly making their entrance in the multiverse of madness and in future phases of Marvel, we've got high hopes that Psylocke is going to get some love. And that's really going to reinvigorate collector and reader interest in the character.
And speaking of collector interest, this comic at high grade sits around $1,000. There's a fair amount of these cased in circulation at most grades. And we're getting a treat with our special VeVe exclusive rare and ultra rare covers by Ryan Brown. I was hyped to see this because he actually has a Silver Surfer Black #1 variant that kind of got me looking at his work. We have his artist info linked in the video description below, but Brown takes his experience as a painter and makes some of the most beautiful covers. The two we're getting today are great examples of his talent. All right, let's dig into these covers. First, the classic cover is minting 21,000 editions. This exact replica just screaming 80s with the vibrant colors and the sheer amount of things happening. The premise of this book is wild and chaotic, like the cover itself, as villains basically create a television show to rope in mutants for them to brainwash into service. It's a very 80s cover with a very 80s storyline.
Next, the uncommon vintage variant is minting 5,000 editions. Color selection does make this cover feel a little more focused and removes a little of that chaos. What we like is the sheer number of characters being featured, which helps ground us in the era. But beyond that, this is a very busy cover, even with the color selection.
The first VeVe exclusive cover is the rare hero variant and is minting 2,350 editions. From what we could find, this is Ryan Brown's first cover on the platform. And what a cover it is. Love that the title was shrunk and moved to the bottom corner because that gave Brown a ton of real estate to render just a beautiful piece of art. The color intensity is just enhanced with the muted background, and this cover is our favorite in the series.
The ultra rare vibranium variant is minting 1,050 editions. I know we just said the rare was our favorite, but we would not be heartbroken with this cover either because it's a stunner. It's common to see comic covers sort of cop out with gradient fade backgrounds or those cheesy sort of motion lines. Brown didn't do that here. The background effects he added and the color just increased the artistic value of this cover even more.
Last, the True Believer Secret Rare is minting 600 editions. Here's our standard interior panel pull cover, and here's the panel it's being pulled from. They flipped the panel horizontally, and we try not to be too critical, but they missed such an awesome opportunity for a cover. Here's the VeVe in 3 variant. Love Alan Davis's artwork in this book, and it just seems like a waste that they didn't use some of the awesome scenes for this cover. And that's a wrap for this info dump. A couple quick announcements before we hop off. First one being VeVe has announced that there's going to be another drop the day after this one for the Doctor Strange Agamotto eye. Really excited to see that. Apparently there's going to be 3 variants, so keep your eyes posted for our next video discussing.
That's going to be the drop tomorrow. I think this looks awesome. I know there's a lot of speculation right now. Could it be like a little portal into more? Like, who knows, right? But I think that's something that a lot of people are excited for.
That. Nextly, and very importantly, a big shout out to the Rhubarb Patch family. We also have a brand new member to the Elite Club. Thank you so much, Sergio Rodriguez. Make sure you send us a message so we can get your preferred picture up with our Rhubarb Patch family. And as for that, we've posted everything we have for today. As usual, we'll post more whenever we know more. This is Heather
And Corey.
signing off.
Great video from those two. That rare and ultra rare are on fire. Facts, Johnny boy. Now, just to answer this question to go over, I think you asked if this is going to do better than the Silver Surfer. I don't know. I think these covers are fire. I think a lot of people are excited for the VeVe exclusive ones, the rare and the ultra rare. I think they do look amazing. I'm not too sure how this is going to do compared to that one. I don't think this comic book's going to come out doing crazy, huge, unbelievable numbers. But I think it's going to be a little fun one. Like, I don't think this is a crazy investment piece. Do you remember number of users when you buy something from the market or the original owner? Wish they get it back. Love that. Not sure what this means, K Walker. What do you mean by this? I do think that the original owners, once that history becomes viewable, probably, I think we talked about this on the Spaces a little bit, probably not until the web app. Once that web app comes out and we have the website for VeVe, I think that's when we're going to get a lot of that metadata. We're probably going to be able to see the previous history on a lot of these comics and collectibles at that point. I don't know if that's what you mean, but hopefully I answered that question. Miss Rose, how we doing, fam? How we doing? Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll save money for the Doctor Strange one. Can't be caught sleeping on that. And obviously, too, Johnny Boy May is coming up. And if you haven't seen the David Yu, the Dan Crowthers, the Alex community update the other day, I suggest definitely watching that, because you'll probably see a whole bunch of different things in David's background that might have you speculating what could be dropping in May. So I think gems may be a little bit hard to come by. So, I would say for these next couple of drops, for me personally, I'm not going to go absolutely crazy hard. I'm going to make sure, I'll go for one, but I'm not going to, spend, all my gems and go crazy on these. I think I'm just going to get 1, 2. Smart move, Miss Rose. I agree. Let's dive into NFT Pirates. Superstar money. It might still be going on. I'm not sure if the chat's still going on or not, so we may not be able to get to all of it. But I think post-drop, too, we should be able to.
Analytics, super intelligent, really, really great discussion. So, man, I'm so excited to have you guys here, and thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We appreciate it. You're giving us too much credit, okay? We're just like every other guy. We're not super intelligent. We're none of that. We're just giving our opinions on there, and we just hope people enjoy it and enjoy the videos and come back for the next one.
Great to meet you, Superstar Chad. We gotta welcome you. I think we gotta give him a little fist bump.
Where are you? Where are you on the screen? This one?
Yeah, I'm gonna tackle 2 you guys. This is a 2-1, bro.
This is not a fair fight. It's not a fair fight.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, no, this is good. And man, it's crazy because you guys are Canadian. You're like a 40-minute drive from where I'm at. That's insane.
Yeah,
You
it's
guys are
cool.
Vaughan?
Small world. Yeah.
Shout out to Canada.
You want to take this one, Joe?
Yeah, we're in Vaughan. We're north of Toronto, but it's crazy. Like when I first started watching the VeVe creators, you obviously popped up. You were in the space earlier, right? And I don't even remember. I think you were in the car or something, and you were talking. It was during Disney Week. That's when I joined. So I remember I'm like looking up what the heck is this VeVe stuff, and your face popped up, and I was like, this looks like Toronto in the background. I'm like, this looks like Toronto. I'm sure this guy's Canadian. Even like the way you talk, it sounds
supposedly we have an accent.
it's like you're one of our buddies,
Yeah.
A few people have said that you guys have an accent that they can tell we're Canadian, but what I found is that, especially with Toronto, is that there's a lot of people from Toronto everywhere, and that includes on VeVe as well. So for sure, I mean, eventually as the app continues to grow, we're going to see more and more of that. So if there was ever a Toronto meetup, I think that even right now, as small as VeVe is, you could probably still get a decent amount of people, and of course, it's only going to grow from there. It's a small community right now. People know each other from the same city. There's other YouTubers meeting up with each other because they're close together. So I think that's one of the great things right now about being in a smaller community like VeVe. I'm calling it smaller because of the potential for it to grow. That's why it's relatively, I feel that.
I mean, just like what he talked about right there. I mean, it's still relatively big, but just like he said, it's still small compared to where we all know this is going. Can you imagine in 3 years from now when digital collecting starts to really become widespread mainstream? 3 years from now, people are going to be wishing, going to sleep with dreams of finding VeVe in season 1, 2, or 3.
That way, but yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us. Of course, we appreciate the opportunity to come on your channel and have this discussion with you. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, it's so cool seeing your guys' dynamic, and you guys like post every day. And man, your stuff is like very good because you go sometimes, talking about some different concerns that people have, and then other times you're talking about gamification, utility, the future of VeVe. So it's very diverse. So maybe you can elaborate on a little bit more for like new, viewers as to what your channel's about.
Yeah, so like you said, we post every day, and we try to give a voice to, I guess, the VeVe fans or the VeVe community. A lot of them don't have a YouTube channel to express themselves, so they'll just come around and talk on our channel, or we'll see even comments on other channels like yours, and that gives us ideas to talk about. So let me give an example. Actually, not too long ago, we did a video about the Marvel Mighties, and we said Marvel Mighties will not be gamified. We did a video about it because it was against the grain, right? And then a lot of people gave us good points as to why they would be gamified. So the next day, we did a video why Marvel Mighties will be gamified.
Yeah,
I just like to give that different voice.
Yeah, and we'll actually shout out. He's another YouTuber, Rob Stuff, who actually was able to get
Shout out Rob.
mention and make the connection that actually it kind of resembles another game that exists right now in the physical world. Maybe that's the connection. So you kind of got 2 points of the story there. It hasn't been gamified yet, but of course that speculation's there. And that's what we want to do, right? Just bring different perspectives and get conversations going, and then together. I feel like if we never posted that video, then Rob Stuff would have never saw the video and commented and give that idea, and then it spread throughout the community about the Marvel United and that potential and that speculation. So for sure.
So smart. It's like nice for a channel to be able to see both sides of the coin, because a lot of times, like, even I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm guilty of that. I'm like, straight FOMO, but then I'm like, wait a second here, like, we gotta dial it back. And it's funny because I was watching one of your guys' videos and I saw it was like sell your grails. I was so pissed when I saw that. I was like, I'm the grail guy, man, and you guys are like, sell your grails. So to be fair though, when I watched the video, you guys made a lot of amazing points. So maybe you can talk a little bit more about why you came up with that provocative title and some of the info.
I think I'm gonna start off taking that one there. So first of all, like, we are 100% pro VeVe. We believe VeVe long term has incredible potential. Like, the way that this company sells themselves without marketing right now, they don't even have marketing with the Disney IP, which is one of the big reasons why we're here.
And we're gonna have marketing right now. The way I see things, I don't think they want to bring tens of millions of people to the app right now before we can cash out, before all these other features are here, before the website, before we can do more than just the drops. That's why I believe that they haven't really done too much with marketing, with these other brands, with the social feed. We all want that stuff to come, but I don't think they want to bring, obviously they want to continue to grow at an organic rate, but I don't think they want to, spend their time, effort, and money on try to bring tens of millions of people to the app right now, because most of them won't stay on the app right now. Until those social features are worked out, until we have the web app, until people can cash out. I think a lot of these things, until we have KYC for everyone, like, that's when I start to see a lot of these things start to roll out.
We think that there's a huge potential going forward in the future. But at that time that we made the video, and we made ones before that too, one of them, speaking of provocative titles, was all your VeVe collectibles are going to zero. And the reason why we posted that is because we started realizing that off-app gem market was really flourishing. It was getting more and more popular. We were able to buy gems off-app for half price. Of course, everyone does it at their own discretion. You can get scammed, but we were able to do that with trustworthy sources. So we saw a big problem there because we're like, you're buying gems off app, which automatically gives you a huge spread in terms of your ability to take a loss and sell out and then just hold to NTL if you want to. So that was one problem. The second problem is that you're not bringing in fresh gems, right? Like you need new gems into the system. The more gems there are in app, the higher prices should go around.
That's why I think when we have the web app, there won't be the limit anymore of the 600 gems max, or you can only add in, fiat and get hit with that Apple fee. People are going to be able to convert ETH to OMI and go to town. And I think that's going to allow also the web app to allow almost unlimited funds at that point without having that Apple tax. And I think that's going to increase the way I look at it. I think my collectibles said it on the spaces last night. He hit the nail on the head. This is something I've been saying for a while. I'm glad he touched on it because he crushed it. Said MTL will be that ease of access to get that mainstream user in with no problem, no fear of being able to pull out. But the OMI to NFT will, increase that liquidity big time, which will probably raise the floors, raise the value in a lot of these collectibles. I think the collectibles and comics are going to get so out of reach eventually to where that's where I think renting will play a huge role, because someone coming in probably won't be able to afford the Marvel Comics #1. So they may want to rent it out from their favorite, comic content creator type thing, all kinds of things like that.
Because people are buying gems from other people, they're just recycling gems, and then you're in an environment that's deflationary. You're getting burns in the secondary market, and you're getting burns in the primary market. So that's why we did that video.
You're losing gems all the time. You buy something for 100 gems, somebody else goes and buys 100 gems for $50. Now they can sell it for 70 gems, make $20 profit if they were to cash out. It just sends it downwards, right? So we're still kind of in that thing because there's been nothing to change it. But maybe like web app, I think that's the next catalyst coming. Might help a little bit because you'll be saving on some of the fees in the Apple store. So maybe people will be less prone to go off app and go buy legit gems. But I don't know.
Wow, that's super interesting. And I feel like that's a very complicated concept. A lot of people that aren't mathematically inclined can really understand what's going on in the background, right? So that's a super interesting thing. And so I guess that goes, in the opposite of that. What does inflation kind of mean? And like, how would that play out?
So we made another video talking about why we think that inflation is inevitable. Because we are pro VeVe. I believe in that video we showed the OMI burn chart, right? Yeah. We talked about how the OUP is going to come in. People are going to want more OMI, and as it continues to be burned, things will become more scarce. But we also talked about how if you look at the future of the NFT space, there's billions more dollars in investment coming into the NFT space. So even at VeVe, I think right now, I think it was an estimated 30 billion. I'm going completely off the top of my head. I don't remember the numbers, but I think it was like 30 billion. And they have like 1%. Right now, we've back calculated it. And then we just took that new value and multiplied by the same percent in that video. And what you found is that there's another $400 million still planned to come into VeVe. So we believe as time goes on, as people become more comfortable with the NFT space, there should be more money coming into this app, more time for the app to develop, and therefore more gems for the collectibles.
I 100% agree with that. Because you got to think about it like this. Maybe you're not under this belief, but I'm under the belief that eventually, as we continue to go into this digital age, every single year we get more and more into the digital collecting will become more and more obvious of that new transitional shift. And we don't have to worry about, these random NFT projects. I hope they all do well. I think what's happening is a lot of these NFT projects are building and creating their own IP out of thin air. So I think some of them can last. It's going to be a lot of a tougher road, but I think a lot of them are doing a great job. I don't think every NFT project and platform type thing will last long term, but I do believe VeVe, because it has every single, top brand in the world. I think that's a very, very safe play, because when you have VeVe is just digitizing the largest 250 brands in the world, decades worth of content. So as we go into the digital age, more and more digital stuff, digital collecting becomes obvious. What are people going to want to collect digitally? Probably things from, the biggest brands in the world that they've already loved for decades. So, shout out to all the other NFT projects out there. The one thing I want to say is I want to see every NFT project or platform survive and last and do well, because the more people that get into digital collecting, the better for the whole entire space. I think the more people that pour into this space, the more people are going to find something that they like on VeVe. And so I think the more people that pour into NFTs, the better for the whole digital collecting space.
Yeah, wow. Very cool, guys. And I've got a question, because, we talked earlier about like it being a bit of a smaller user base than we originally anticipated. And I remember a lot of times they're like, oh, we have 2.6 million active users. But when we go look at the unique addresses, we see like 500 and something thousand. And then I forget exactly what it is, but like once you get over like 100 NFTs, there's like fewer than 10,000 people with 100 or more VeVe NFTs. And so I guess like how much, like, because in Disney Week, everything exploded. Remember that? Like that was, and that's when you guys joined, and things were like just flying. I mean, so what do you think that really means now? Like how many active users? Like I'm presuming they might have seen the amount of accounts created that were like trying to get a drop or whatever, and that might entail an active user. But I just feel like that's something that we don't really talk about. Like I personally think there's maybe only a few 100,000 real like heavy active users. But what do you guys feel about that?
So I think we did something similar in another video about how to become a VeVe whale using MCP.
30-minute warning.
We brought up, I don't know if you know Bravos Assassin and his Excel sheet and all that. He has a bunch of stuff where he points out how many wallets were winning drops and stuff, and how many wallets actually have more than one collectible or two collectibles. So that's kind of how we got that, because we figured if you had so many collectibles, you were in the top tier of MCP. So do it with the math that they've done for us with the wallets, and it looks like what, around 500,000 wallets?
Yeah, or
around
600,
there,
something like 600. I think
that are actually like real people. Maybe it's like 2+ though. It's like 2+.
No, 600 is more than one collectible.
More than, yeah, so 2+.
More than one.
Yeah.
Okay. Still
Yes.
a lot, right? Like I mean,
But how many use it? It's still like how many are dead from losing all their money, or like 80% of their, if they joined in January, they're more than likely probably not participating anymore.
Yeah,
I know a few of those people.
We did a live where we talked, because we've talked about MCP for a while now, like even back in January, and then there's MCP Pro, and then we did a live, and someone said to us, we're not whales, but they said, stay in your lane. MCP is a whale game, and for that is still true. I mean, it's definitely, the more you own, the more money you pump in, the better you'll be on MCP. But I don't, like, based on the number of wallets, like if you look at the wallets and you see how many people own over 50 collectibles, you start realizing that it's actually like 10,000 people that actually are in that range. And we took some of the cheapest comics, rare comics on the app, which give you pretty good yield for your MCP. And what we found was that, like, for 1,000 gems, you can get into that like top 1.5% of people. So it's not necessarily a whale game, and don't get discouraged if you're new to VeVe.
And plus, that's a great point right there he just made, because it is a collecting app for collectors. So the more you collect, the more money you put in, the higher rank you get. But, VeVe and Akomi made a huge point to try to make sure that new users weren't kind of intimidated by that. And so the way to kind of counteract that is, like you said, a lot of these cheaper comics, great entry point for MCP points. Also, the fact that you can actually get 25 points a day without even buying anything, right? Just by engaging with the app, the social media, and tagging, liking, sharing your showroom, sharing pictures like that. So I think MCP is probably that first layer of gamification. I know for me, even just thinking about when the rank comes out, it's got my competitive juices flowing already. So I think that's going to be huge once it does roll out.
You want to participate in the MCP.
Wow. Man, these are some big hits, guys. Like, that's some big news right there. Because I think that's what my friends and I were starting to discuss too. We're like, okay, we're, with these amount of wallets, let's say there is 2.6 million users according to VeVe. If you have more than 50 to 100 NFTs and they're $4 a comic now, $15 for Ursula. I mean, like, there's some good deals right now if you're serious about VeVe, right?
Yeah, I think those deals exist because, like, if you just look at the market caps of all the collectibles and like the number of mints, and of course the grails are high end market caps. What you find is that, like, they're just, right now there's just not enough gems to go around. So, like, it's really up to the person to hold until that time comes back. That new NFT pump, like, right now the appetite's not there, and we check the Google Trends all the time, and it's just not there. The surge isn't there. One day there's going to have to be another pump. It's like, and I know you're involved in crypto, so I'm sure you're fully aware of the swings that happen. And when that day comes back, like that, I think will be the time where we might see those highs again. But of course, it's all speculation.
Right. You've seen it already once. You were here before Disney. So, like, how was it? How was it before that? Was it kind of similar to this? Like, kind of
just touch on that point. The video of me and Chad, early on back in June of 2021, to speak on when the Disney moment in November. I mean, I think it was him. Maybe Chad talked about how we were in a little low period. We're probably gonna boom, and then maybe come back down to a consolidation period, and then boom again. Like, that consolidation period is where we're at right now. We boomed in January, and now we're kind of just staying stagnant. like we were before. You know, we were kind of staying stagnant before last summer, you know, before Disney run up. So, like you said, it's just cycles.
And no one really talking about it, and then all of a sudden, bam.
Man, even worse. Like even further down. Like I would say in August, like just like this was around my wedding time too, so I was kind of distracted. But it looked as though similar to now, like VeVe was really tanking, and man, like Rizzos were going like low mint Rizzos were like not even 2K. I think like Secret Rare Spider-Man was like 1.6K gold. I saw 2 silver Moogleys go for under 5K. Right, this is like the time, and so everyone was just getting out, and then all of a sudden November hit, and it was like blast off, and then.
We saw a lot of people, you know, realize like, wow, you know, what's happening, right? So many people said VeVe was sinking, VeVe's done, like you just said, and then all of a sudden, boom, right?
January hit, and it was like I couldn't even fathom what was happening, right? You guys still came in an amazing time because November, like things were starting to pick up, and then even that little 3-month window. So I mean, I'm hopeful that it'll come back, but I think it's going to be a bit. I don't think like people are thinking it's happening in the summer or whatever. I'm like,
I think VeVe has the control to do it whenever they want to happen. Like Disney tweeted out one tweet about VeVe, and it basically crashed the app. We brought in 200,000 users from one tweet from Disney. What's going to happen when Disney starts promoting on Disney Plus, you know, doing all these kinds of actual marketing promotion for it? I think this is just my guess completely, all speculation, nothing confirmed. What I would think is happening is Akomi is probably saying to them, we love it. Let's just get our website done first. Let's have the KYC. Let's have the cash out for everyone. Make it, you know, liquidable, you know, like legit. And then let's have that ramp up on marketing. And then the explosion happens. And then we have Omi to NFT. And, you know, all kinds of great things happen after that.
I feel like, I don't know, like just with like COVID kind of, you know, like there's a, what's the word? There's like a, you know, economists can really do a good job here, but there's a lot of things worldwide that are happening that I think are also affecting this market.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do you guys think? Like, when do you think the next pump could be?
Well, you touched on it there. I think it's going to go hand in hand with NFTs as well. So if NFTs are on the down in the trends in the world, then there's going to be less people looking into different NFT projects, right? So VeVe won't be found, especially like that's just naturally finding it. If they don't come up with a catalyst, if they don't drop Pokemon, if they don't do one of these big heavy hitter things, right? Which with the current ecosystem, even if they do drop Pokemon, it'll be a huge spike and then it'll start to taper down, and it's just going to happen. There's not, like Rob said, there's not enough gems to liquidate. You can't liquidate everything in the app, so the market caps are all false as far as we're concerned.
And just to go off topic real quick, I did get another air humidifier down here. I feel a lot better. So I wonder if that's really the case.
Yeah, and like no one really knows when that next pump is going to come. I just think this is a good time for VeVe to prepare. You know, get MTL so you kind of kill that off-app market. That's going to help instead of recycling gems, buying new gems. You know, get your website set up for more access, and then they can start marketing, which I think is going to really, really help them. There's so many people that I think are interested in some high-quality IP NFTs, and they just don't know about VeVe. We talk about it every day, so for us it's so obvious, but there's tons of people out there that just don't even know about it, and if they learned about it, they would probably enter.
It's so crazy because, like you just said, high-quality IP NFTs. So many people don't equate NFTs with digital collectibles. I truly believe that NFT word will get transitioned into digital collectibles. Because if we start saying, you know, some high-quality IP digital collectibles, it starts getting the average person who doesn't really understand NFTs and technology and the blockchain and all this kind of stuff. They just equate NFTs to a scam, expensive animal pics, because that's all they have seen. You know, it can be that, but it can be so much more too. And so once people start really thinking of these as just quality IPs, you know, quality IP digital collectibles, digital comics, that's when I think the huge transition really starts to take place. It could happen slowly because everyone's going to have that aha moment at different times.
But I think they want to fix the app first with some of these issues, and then really start hammering people with marketing and trying to bring in the new people.
With marketing, you're going to get utility. I think that's going to be their main marketing goal, is to show how you can use them to get into things, or promo codes, like go to McDonald's, get a promo code, get a Happy Meal toy or whatever. Like, I just think it, like Rob said, they're not ready for it on the app yet, and they've said it in the last day. They want all these other things to be out first, everything moving smoothly, and then maybe we'll be ready. So you're right. I think it's a lot further along than people think.
And if you look at Bitcoin, and I'm sure you remember because I know you're a crypto guy.
Yeah.
If you look at Bitcoin, we went through that crypto winter. So 2017, I think it was, and we had a major pump. We went almost through a 2-year crypto winter before we started seeing those new highs again in Bitcoin. So if you remember that and you're invested in that, those people who had it at the time for 2 years, I mean, you had a lot of people who got spooked, sold off on the low end. And if they were able to last that period of time, they would have seen those new highs again. A little bit different, crypto's more of it's decentralized. You're able to actually cash out whenever you want. But eventually that functionality will be here on VeVe as well. And that's why we're very hopeful for the future going forward. But I can't give you a time.
A lot of this too depends on the team and how things run and how like marketing, like Bitcoin marketing is all word of mouth. Like no one's really out there. You don't see Satoshi or whatever his name is putting up signs like "Go buy Bitcoin," right?
And that's how VeVe grew. VeVe has grown without marketing. VeVe has grown just word of mouth. We had a crazy run up into March, right? From 8,000 users to 200,000 users, 180,000 users. But ever since then, I mean, even then, that was all word of mouth. But the ball is just rolling.
More accelerated than 2-year winter, but I don't think it's going to be in the next month or so. I think there's a lot of things that have to get done.
Right. Well, man, you guys. First of all, you guys are super smart. I'm enjoying this a lot. I'm kind of sitting back and taking it all in. People, if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe right now to Superstar Money. Check these guys out. All the conversations are like this and better. So yeah, so super cool, man. And I guess like my question back to you guys is like, we keep seeing all these different like little pumps here and there, like after the drops, right? But then it starts to really fickle out pretty quick. And then people just move on to the next one. So am I wrong when I'm like saying, hey, this is first to the blockchain and this is the golden age of NFTs? Or is it really like, you think there's like major popularity or, these like pump and dump things? Like how do people really know the long-term worth? Because, you guys talked about your grails and how they drop significantly. So, what should people be doing, I guess?
Well, I think to answer the first part of the question, it was like about the drops coming up right now.
Yeah.
Just the way the market conditions are, the drops tend to go under. Most people right now are just like, there's not enough gems in app, like we said, so they're buying almost like gambling. Joe can speak more to this because I stayed out of the drop today. I know he goes for it. Try to get that ultra rare. And if you don't, you just get rid of it right away.
There's opportunity, but it's better to be in gems right now. But yeah, you can, like you said, you gamble for the comics, especially if you're going for it. I'll try and buy the comic, a couple of them for 7 gems or whatever it is, and then if I don't hit a rare or above, I'm selling it for a loss. But it's a gamble. It's like going to buy a scratch ticket kind of thing, right?
So he just touched on that. Everybody has their own situation. So his strategy is exactly that. Buy a couple of them, go for the ultra rare, secret rare. If not, then just get as many gems back as possible. So I always wondered, the strategy behind that. But everybody, that works for him. So that's probably why we see that, because I think a lot of other people probably do that too.
Trying to build a stack of gems. I'm not trying to keep those comics, especially if I don't like them. But today, for example, I picked up a couple of low digit because they were like maybe 10, 20 gems over the floor. I'm like for a 3 digit. And now I'm trying to flip it to get another 20, 30 gems on it. It's just a flipper game right now. I feel like everything's gonna go down until there's other catalysts.
Yeah, and no one knows. So the question now is, what should you do? Like this is again, no one has a crystal ball. So I can just say what I'm doing, which is I'm watching the ones I want to own, but I'm still buying along the way down because I don't know that next catalytic event. So for example, I really, really wanted the Cogsworth golden moment. So in that situation, I had a feeling as time goes on, they might continue to drop, but I decided to go for a low mint because, when it comes to low mints, there's only 959, whatever it is that you can own between number 40 or 41 and 999. And I'm holding it for the long term. I'm not even checking the price. And then when it comes to drops, I'm just kind of waiting out. I had a feeling that, maybe in May, we're going to have another drop people's attentions are going to go there. And then I'll pick up this set. Even though I know it might still go down because I don't know where the bottom is, I kind of just chip away at it when I feel I'm financially able to. And then, of course, you got to have a stomach for it because if you're checking it every day and it dips, and of course, none of this is financial advice, but at least the way that I am, once I make that decision to go long term with it, I'm kind of holding it until.
And just like you said, that's a huge point right there. That's a great point because that's why it's so crucial to buy what you like. Once you start collecting the things that you really like, he probably really liked that. He probably wants to get this set, like you said. So he got that low digit to hold long term. Now he's not really worried about checking that day-to-day price if it goes down, stressed out. Now you want to kind of sell it at a loss. Like you got that because you really liked it. You believe in it long term. You're just holding it now. So I think that's why it's so important, not just to go after everything, but really to start kind of going after the things you either really, really believe in or really, really enjoy. So that way you're not checking, the prices up and down. You're just collecting because you enjoy it,
I feel that VeVe's kind of more established, but I'm buying because it's still early and I don't know when that day will come.
Right. I think that's a great point that you make, because like when you believe in that product and what that NFT means, then like overnight, like let's say you drop 50%, but then one day, it can go up like 300%. Like a perfect example is like, Marvel Comics #1, the secret rare. I remember it was like 1.2K, then it was 1.8K, then it was 50K within a matter of weeks. And if you bought it at like 1.8, it dropped to 1.2. What does that mean in the grand scheme of things, right?
Exactly.
And so like that's a really good point.
And to touch on that point real quick again, that's exactly what I did with Homer and Bart. When Disney first dropped and that first collectible dropped at Homer and Bart, it was reselling at $60. I think it was below retail or right at retail. Can you believe that? The first ever Disney digital collectible drop was Homer and Bart with the skateboard, and it was reselling at retail or just under retail, $60. I was trying to buy for 65, couldn't, 70, couldn't, 75, couldn't. I was freaking out. I was like, okay, I am not missing this one. I'm scrolling down because my little trick was, instead of buying the floor, you're probably going to be a little bit too late by the time you go to hit purchase. Someone probably stole it right out of under you. So you scroll down in the market and you buy one a little bit more expensive. Now, not financial advice, just my opinions through my experience. I only did that because I really, really loved it. I really, really believed in it. So I was okay with paying $200 when the floor was, I think, $75, $80 at this point, because I couldn't buy one for $150. It wasn't letting me. So I locked one in for $200, ended up being a 3-digit, and now I just held it the whole time. And we seen Bart hit over, I think it was $2,000 at the high. I think it's retraced back down to 700 now. But just for example, because I wasn't worried if it went from 200 back down to like 150, 100 to what I believe the potential is for it.
Yeah, like people maybe selling the rails are doing it just to cash out, but like even I didn't come in early enough to take advantage. I think it was like a $3 pod or something when it first came out. I didn't come in. I didn't know about the project, and of course, like the Disney's what really drew me in. But
I wish it was
like
3.
If I did have it, maybe I wouldn't necessarily want to sell it, because I still want to see where this project's going to go long term and what kind of utility is going to come along with some of these collectibles.
Yeah. And what stuff has dropped the least? I've been trying to, because I noticed you guys do a lot of analytics, and I've been trying to like follow the market, because I saw like Secret Spider-Man went from 100K down to 20K at one point, right? I think it's at like 32 now. That's like an 80% reduction. But I was looking at some of the other comics, like the Grail comics, like Fantastic Four #1, and that didn't really seem to move as much, like maybe 50% max.
Yeah.
What do you guys take on that?
Comics, I've been tracking the comics for a while, actually, because I was picking them up on the way down here.
Yeah.
And they haven't gone nearly as far down as collectibles. Like collectibles have been beat up. They started to take a hit afterwards. Like I guess people got rid of all their collectibles.
And my opinion for this is why I think some of those extremely rare, limited 600 or 600 edition, those are going to be great for holding those floors really high up. Just because when you have a 600 edition of a Holy Grail comic book, comic books have cult followings, huge fans, right? Huge demand for people who want these Holy Grail comic books. Fantastic Four #1, Marvel Comics #1, Amazing Spider-Man #1, right? So when you only have, even if it is a variant cover, if it's 600 editions, maybe 550, because that's how many there are publicly, I think it's a lot easier to hold that floor higher, because you just have a lot less people willing to take profits at a sooner point. So I think that's why a lot of these Holy Grail comics, the secret rares, are doing really well. And I think they will continue to do well over time, because there's just so few people that have them, to where it's a lot easier to hold that floor up, as opposed to when you have 20,000 editions of something. Even if it is a Holy Grail, you have 20,000 people or 30,000 people, whatever the case is, right? Whatever number it is, maybe it's only 10,000 people, but you have that many more people willing to take profits at a sooner point. That's why I think we'll see fluctuations with Walt, like we've seen up to 40K, back down to 12K, because there's 4,000 editions. Now, how many people actually have a Walt? Maybe half of that, maybe 2,000 people, right? Because people have hundreds, maybe duplicates. So there's some that are locked up forever in bot accounts. So I think even when you have 2,000 editions, it's just that many more people than 500, right? So I think that's a great point that he hit on right there.
Collectibles, now they're trying to sell off whatever else they own. But there was a couple weeks ago, there's some good deals on comics. They've recovered a little bit too. But I think you're right. I think comics right now, they're like the dividend stocks. And the collectibles are your Tesla and your Netflix.
Yeah, and I think that like a while ago we had another video. Again, this was like way back when I think Secret Rare Spider-Man was it 80K or something like that?
Yeah,
we did a video and it was titled, speaking of provocative, do not buy Secret Rare Spider-Man or Todd. So I mean, we did that video back then, and the point of that video was more like the mints are so low that it's kind of like a cult. And then as people start losing commitment to the cult, they may sell up. I think what ended up happening, I don't actually think we got that one right. I think what actually ended up happening is that the buyers just aren't there right now for that many gems, right? Yeah. So you're kind of just constantly undercutting each other if you want to maybe flip out and buy a bunch of others.
Like, think about it right now. We only have the mobile app to where people say, if I had $500,000 that I was willing to put in the app to invest, right? Because there's high rollers out there where 500K really isn't that much for them. And so right now in the VeVe app, you can only add 600 gems at a time, and you get hit with a fee every time. So imagine millionaires coming in want to buy, an 80 grand Spider-Man or even a 30K Spider-Man right now. If they're coming in new, it's hard to put in that many gems into the app. There's friction. It's great for that mainstream ease of access to where anyone can just put in 10, 20, 30, right? It's amazing to get that mainstream widespread masses of the audience. But to get the high rollers, I think that's when we start to need to have only the NFT, and we need to have the web app to where now there is no 600 gem limit. If they wanted to add fiat, they can add in maybe 100K limit, and they can do it twice or something like that. That's what's really going to increase that liquidity, I feel like.
And that I think that's what's going on right now with like the very, very expensive ones. But if I had one, I probably wouldn't sell it. Like at the end of the day, these floors are just what people decide to sell them for. It's not like the stock market, like this efficient market that just moves perfectly. You have millions of buyers and millions of sellers. It's an inefficient market. So that's why you can see prices just kind of change like crazy out of nowhere overnight. And over the last 3 months, it's been a massive bear market out.
That's why you got to hold some things, because like example, even Chad brought it up a couple minutes ago, was the Marvel Comics Secret Rare. I don't know if you were following the last couple of weeks. It was like in the 30,000s, and then all of a sudden it was like 70,000 in like a day. So you don't know when that day's gonna come. But again,
that's right there is what's so good about having the low edition counts, because there's probably maybe only 2 that were listed, right? Maybe it goes from 80K, 70K to 50K, 30K. And so 2 that are bought, 30K, 50K, and the floor is raised that much. As opposed to when you have thousands of editions of something, there's a lot more that people have to go through. That wall is a little bit thicker, a little bit denser. But, if it's a popular item, a popular comic book, popular collectible, I think over time, that popularity will start to cause scarcity.
And I think it went down now. It's like 50 or something.
So I had a question for you, Chad, because you got in early. So a couple questions I had is I noticed you've done some great interviews on this channel. So how did that end up happening? How did it kind of develop that you were able to do that? I know you interviewed David Yu and others.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it started out like, first of all, there's only maybe like 10 to 20 YouTubers out when I started. Some of them weren't consistent. Like some people were there only 10 to 12 videos, and then they took off, and other people were really all about it. And I think interviews were just one of the things that I saw fewer of. And I was just interested in actually learning, because there wasn't like really a forum. Like Twitter Spaces wasn't really a thing back then, because there wasn't enough volume of people. We'd have these AMAs. And so I was just kind of like, went to fellow people similar. I had like 200 subs, and I was interviewing other people with like 200 subs. And in some fashion, some of those people actually ended up being like big players in the community now, which is interesting, right? And so it kind of started off like that, like just really, getting to know people. I was lucky to get to know Cavell a little bit, Taps, like not to an extent where I would consider like, oh my God, we're great pals. Like they're obviously like a level above where I'm at, but it just got me, able to have those kind of discussions. And then from there, I kind of made it a bit of a relationship with Akomi and Reese. And I did the VeVe Meme Masters tournament. I don't know if you guys know, it was in August of last year or even earlier. And so I kind of helped Takomi voluntarily from that project. And that's where I got to know some of the inner people, and then had that relationship. And I just one day was like near Christmas, I was like, man, like David Hughes never done an interview with like collectors. Like that would be crazy if we had like a collector 9000 chat. And I like just wrote this huge email to Akomi being like, this would be sweet if you guys can make this happen. And then they were like, yeah, let's do it. And that was pretty much how it started. And then from there, I had momentum even before, because Lewis Morgan wanted to interview me, the
shout out Lewis.
Gymshark. And it was my buddy Danny, just from connections in the community, that he like basically hooked me up and was like, yeah, man, like go check out Lewis, he wants to do something. And I was like, and it just kind of snowballed. So similar to like you guys here today, like then you could be off talking to somebody else next week. And you know what I mean? It's just, I think the power of connections, people forget about it, and the power of community, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, and you mentioned all the other guys' names, but I seen you first. So I don't know, like it could be because you're in the same city or whatever. I don't know if YouTube does that, but I mean, cool. Or maybe we're just on the same wavelength.
5-minute warning.
You're right out there.
It's so cool because when I put out a video back in the day, I get like 100 views, and I was like stoked. I was like, oh my god, like 100 people wanted to watch this, you know. And now it's like funny, like even for you guys, like we don't get 1,000 views. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done this differently or whatever, right? It's just
because it's a Saturday.
Can you guys hear me?
That's why.
Yeah. But it's so cool, like being able to kind of share these insights and this enthusiasm with other people that are like-minded. Because when I saw this early, I just thought like I knew I wasn't nuts, but a lot of people thought I was. And then now I'm like, no, now there's all these people that are like, camaraderie around this.
Kay Walker said common 3 digits over secret rares, in my opinion. Let's go. See, just to touch on this real quick, I think all rarities are going to do great. You guys know me. I love my common 3-digit mints. For me, I just love the original covers of these comic books. And I don't think people realize, especially with the Marvel Comics #1, the 3-digit mints, VeVe takes the first 500, right? So how many 3-digit mints actually are there? I believe there's less 3-digit commons of the Marvel Comic ones than there are total secret rares. So if you're talking about rarity and popularity, I love the 3-digit commons. But again, I think all rarities will do great for that reason, because even the secret rares, it's still a Marvel Comics #1 secret rare, so that variant cover, right? With 600 or 550 total editions. So I still think that's going to do absolutely amazing. The floors will always probably be extremely high.
Same ideas. It's insane. Yeah. It's so cool.
How did you find it? What was the first thing that you showed you, VeVe?
Man, it was some, like, I was looking up like just the man, what's his name? It's a black guy. Everything Currency. I forget it. So yeah, he was just like talking about all these like low cap coins that could like moonshot, and I was just investing a shitload of money. And then he talked about Akomi, and then he's like, yeah, and this one doesn't even have like an actual like address that you have to like type it in. And I was like, oh, let me throw $5,000 into that. That sounds like if it does pop, like nobody knows what the fuck it is. So it's like, let me throw some money into that. And that's pretty much how it started. And then it just 6x'd like almost instantly at that hype. And then I was like, what is this? And then I went in, and Todd was at like not even bought out, bro. There was like 6,500 Todds left.
Wow.
2 minutes.
Yeah, so you were there. Yeah, so it was at $3. Was it $3 Todd?
Well, Todd was
80, right?
$80 US to buy. So it was about 120 for us.
The DeLorean Common went down to $3 though.
But I bought 18 within the course of an hour, bro. I was like, and then I just kept clicking. Then I literally maxed my little credit card. I was like, let me just,
It didn't restrict you on how many you can buy.
25 was the max.
25 max.
And then you would just open another account.
Yeah, you would use multiple accounts.
Yeah.
Very easy workaround.
It seems like most of the early people found it through Omi.
Yeah.
I think that's 100% true. I think most of the early people did find VeVe through Omi. And we've always kind of speculated that over time, years go by, it's kind of evening out now. I think over time, we're going to start to see more people find Omi through VeVe. And I think that's how it's going to be long term. Like, I look at VeVe as being like opening the floodgates to NFTs, to crypto. So I think over time, that's going to flip flop. We got 1:30 to the drop. Let me just pause it right here. I'm going to get back to the drop. Smash the like button. Bless the chat, everyone. J East Music. We got Prayer Gate. Shout out to Simone. Yeah, I think the crashes in the market just provide a huge opportunity for so many people. So also someone said they didn't like the Mighties, but now they like the Mighties. That was Kay Walker. I think the Mighties will do great. I'm going to record this one just in case something crazy happens. Minute left. Shout out to my Coffee Gators. Oh, is congestion coming back? It is about an hour. I feel a lot better than I have before this. I think this I have 2 air purifiers now in here, so I think it has made me feel a lot better. 25 seconds, fam. Again, I don't think this is going to sell out in 0.01 seconds. It's probably going to sell out in a few seconds, though. I'm going to try to time it perfect. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Bye now. That was literally so fast. I'm wondering if the quicker you hit it now, the worse mint you get. Because the times that I've gotten the second one or I was a little bit late, I feel like I got a little bit better rarity. So, and every time I felt like I was like perfect, like absolutely so quick, I've been getting kind of like a high mint comment. So we'll see what happens here. What do you guys think? 19,641. If this is another comment, I think for Doctor Strange, well, Doctor Strange, I think could sell out instantly. All editions have been allocated. Let's go. So this one even sold out really quick. Willow got a Walt. Huge. And you haven't originally owned Walt too, Willow. That's so big, man. Let's go, Simone. Praying that I get a secret rare today. Let's go, Prayer Gate. Yeah, don't do a capture while you're driving. VeVe and driving is not a good combo, especially when you got to do a capture. Definitely pull over. Grab 4 of them. 29,000. So a higher mint. You have one of the last mints. You have like the last 160th mint. Pretty solid. I hope that's a secret rare for you. You got Johnny Boy 18K mint. Had to tap into my inner Dunn thumbs today. Let's go. Got a lot of great merch ideas. 17,488. Man. I hope it is a secret rare or an ultra rare. I think the ultra rares and the rares, the VeVe exclusives today, like absolutely amazing. We got fam stealing each other's rebounds. Bruin 88. Secret rares coming for you, Bruin. Got 4 of them. How many did you get today, Bruin 88? Did you get multiples or did you just go for one? I guess it's a common. We got Miss Rose staying in the common gang. Let's see. Let me get back to this. I feel like we were in a pretty good spot in this video. I'm going to get back to it so we don't lose where we were.
And then there was Andre Jick who put it out there, and I think a lot of our commenters say that they found it through him, and that was coinciding with Disney Week. So I think that's another catalyst that brought it to the all-time highs.
Yeah, and Disney Week for like YouTube, man, I pretty much like gained like 2,000 subs within like 3 weeks, because that was just such a week where I think there's such a massive influx of people. And so like we talked about, like something will happen to us again. It's like that right catalyst, and then then you make those videos that week, and that's it. Like, you know.
Yeah, and they tweeted it, and that kind of like legitimized the project.
Right.
I almost forget because it was so long ago, but you know, the NFT.
When Disney tweeted about VeVe, that was such a groundbreaking moment. It brought in over 200,000 users instantly. If a tweet did that, what's going to happen when they market?
Tweet anything else anymore. That's I guess VeVe must have.
All right, my congestion's back.
Just wait, don't tweet, because they said they're not ready for more growth right now, right? So they're just like, just wait, like let's get prepared, and just tweet away, just go all out. If Disney could tweet every single day, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, man, and that's all it's going to take, right? It's going to take just like some coordinated marketing efforts to really kind of put us over the edge again. So yeah, man. So what are you guys kind of thinking then for the future of VeVe? Like, what is the prognosis with actually taking these things off app? Like, is that going to be a thing? Does it matter? I mean, I don't. A lot of people say like I don't even care unless it's my own keys, because what is then making VeVe different than a video game if you're like locked into one system? And so obviously MTL is going to be a component, but like that interoperability and having your own keys might be critical. So what do you guys take on that?
Want me to take this one? So I think it's, you want to take it, Joe?
No, you can go ahead. I'll follow up.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be important. I think in a way it helps lower risk if you can take it off and bring it elsewhere, so you're not fixed on that app, especially you hear about accidental locked accounts, all that. But I still think that utility will drive value going forward. Yeah. So as the app progresses and they start bringing in, and I remember, I think it was like January or February AMA, David Yu, I believe, said that we really want to bring digital games, something along those lines. Like, he basically was.
And you guys know the Alcon video I played a little bit ago. They talked about how, they're talking to people with Fortnite. They want to include gameplay into this. So I think it's just something that takes time, but I think it will happen.
The games and the utility is something that is a focus and priority for them this year in 2022. And I think ultimately that's going to bring the most amount of value. I personally will not take any of my collectibles off app. Yeah. So I may not be the best to answer that as to, why would if someone would do it. But what do you think, Joe?
I think you might be tempted to take them off app if you see what some of them go for or something like that on OpenSea or IMX or wherever they are selling. We've seen it with HRO. I'm not in HRO, obviously. Canada, we can't buy them.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're doing now. I don't know. I heard they came down a little bit, but when we were able to go on IMX, Canadians, like my collectibles or whatever, was buying them for double the price because you can get them. So there's things that I think, like, especially these independent artists who maybe don't see the love on VeVe, they're going to push for it, especially to get off app. And then once they're in the sea with the rest of them, if it's going to come down to quality, and if it's premium, like VeVe's saying it is, then it should do just as well as some of these other projects.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are kind of like almost like over anticipating what this off app stuff's going to do. It's like, I think, and the other thing too is like, I know there's a lot of people with lots of crypto that are going to come in and buy up, but I'm like,
I think the whole goal for VeVe is to make VeVe's experience the Disneyland for NFTs, to where it's like, you can take them off the app if you want, but you're not going to have this experience or this utility, etc. Reese has said in the early AMA that VeVe is going to be the Disneyland for NFTs. And when you think about that, that was before the Disney partnership, the Disney license. So once we got Disney, it really got people thinking like, wow. That's why I always said, like, I envision kids coming home from school, if they're not already in school, with their AR glasses, putting on their AR, VR glasses, going to Disney World digitally, seeing all the VeVe collectibles, being able to buy them at the gift shop next door, interacting with all these different, games and different things you can do in that whole metaverse, VeVeverse, Disneyverse, right? So, and the other part too is we will be able to take some of these collectibles off the app and put them into an Akomi NFT secure wallet. Right now, we only have the Akomi secure wallet that sells out instantly. But if anyone has that, you can hold all your crypto there, not just your OMI, but it's a hard wallet to where you can hold all your crypto. Well, they've said before where they eventually have another wallet coming out. It's going to be a cheaper, maybe $30 wallet, maybe even free if you get a digital collectible with it or type thing. But that's going to be able to hold your VeVe NFTs and OMI only. That hasn't been talked about for a while, and I can't wait for that one to come out.
You can still do that. It's just not, they don't want to be risking $20,000 over a black market escrow, which I totally get, right? But man, the other thing too that I keep thinking about is, we've had whales come in, they use gems that they bought at like almost like, half. They come in, they like kill these markets, they stack on certain grails. And it makes me wonder sometimes, like, are whales watching YouTubers and then just stacking the things that are there and presuming our grails, when really it's just like, and they're just all going with it to make money? Or is it like people actually believe in this concept? Like, that's the part that I feel like the Truman Show sometimes. Is this just a massive kind of like exploit around me, or is this really like people give a shit? You know what I mean?
I don't think so. Or else Fastos would have been 9.9 million.
Shout out to the Fastos wall.
Well, they always talk about renting in the future, and like things like that. If you connect the game to it, and then you can rent it, and there's only 10,000 of them. That means only 10,000 people to play this game. And maybe because of the game, it gets expensive, so you can start renting. Like, if you start owning mass percentages of these collectibles, I can see in the future, and I'm sure there are people who can see that development in the future better than us. That makes sense to me right now why they would want to stack. But of course, like, we've seen other NFT projects do insane, and they only do well not because of utility, more so for the flex. to have one of the first ones ever, and just say that you joined that party. It was Andre Jick video that I saw where he talked about the Vevlin goods and how people own it just to be part of that community, to say that they're in that community. I can see that same thing happening with some of these. You kind of already seeing it develop right now.
Absolutely.
With some of the.
I mean, Gary Vee talks about all the time. As human beings, as much as I joke that I'm alien, maybe we're all half alien, half humans, right? But it's part of our DNA. You want to show off. You want to. I mean, it's why you probably have sunglasses on, or why you have the beard, right? I mean, humans always are about, what's the word I'm looking for? Humans are social creatures, right? And so that's why blue check marks are such a big deal to some people. And so I think having a Todd McFarlane Batman will be that same kind of statement piece. It's why people have Rolexes. It's why people have Lamborghinis or Rolls Royces, right? It's kind of that status symbol type thing to show off or show that you're in that community early type thing. So humans always are going to be social creatures and to show off and to wear things for certain reasons. So I think that's going to play a huge role. Absolutely.
Along those lines, I don't know if you saw, there was an interview with, was it Reese? No, it wasn't Reese. It was Dan. I think it was Dan from VeVe, and he was talking about the accessories and how that's going to be kind of one of the ways you're going to be able to make unique mints by throwing on. That'll be cool.
Secret rare gold Superman cape.
Changes are coming or something.
I saw it. Was it with the green Superman?
The green Superman.
Yeah.
Digital goods. Yeah.
That's sick.
People didn't like the color green, by the way. That's the only thing they complained about that video. Yeah, it was like, why would you use green with Superman? But that we know that's coming. Actually, if you go on the app, it actually says customizable. So if you go on the app, they have pictures and it says customizable. It's in their white pages.
Yep.
So we know they want to start making it so you can kind of mod your collectibles. So that's some fun things that you can do.
And that's why I showed that one old video of Dan Crowther saying this is before Superman was on the app. He talked about, not confirming, but if we roll out, say, a Superman from DC and say it happens to be an uncommon, and then later on we roll out, different rarity capes that can be interchangeable with it, and you can get a secret rare gold cape. I think stuff like that will be tied in with Omi, and that's going to be a huge utility for Omi. Imagine if you could spend your Omi and it burns, and then you get, if you pay enough Omi, you get that secret rare gold Superman cape. So, I mean, things like that are going to be crazy.
Then you can sell it with the mods. So you kind of they're all going to maybe be unique eventually, which would be pretty cool.
Wow. We always talk about that, like that another way to distinct from low mint numbers, because that was the whole thing with sequential data on the blockchain and how it didn't necessarily match up to like the low mint. So it's like if you had a low mint that was like a white Todd, like obviously at that point people are going to pay crazy money. Like it's funny as much as we all get so scared and nervous and try to fall off. As soon as like something like that gets introduced, like we're all like, throw another $2,000 into VeVe.
Yeah, it's kind of like a money pit, right? You get drawn in just every single week. There's always a reason to want to buy or pick up the newest, shiniest thing. But virtual goods, I think, will be one of them. And then with the OUP program, so the OMI utility program,
huge.
Being able to maybe buy those virtual goods with OMI and then using OMI in app, that's going to drive that side of it too. And they have that big ecosystem of OMI and VeVe together.
And MCP is going to help burn and all that. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be
burning collectibles. Yeah, that's another one.
So I guess the question now is do you have the guts and courage to go nuts for the next few years, potentially, right? And take a chance, because if this does pop, like, you're going to be laughing. You know what I mean? It will be the biggest NFT project out there. And you're already seeing, like, Recur and all these other ones that aren't really keeping up with, like, the momentum that VeVe has and has had for, like, over a year. And so, I mean, it just goes to show you how difficult it is to keep people interested, keep people engaged, and especially when a lot of the people that came in were like crypto people that were just trying to make money. And now it's like, okay, now it's like we're trying to transition into collectors and people that really see the long-term vision. So I feel like once we do hit that place,
and I talked about that a little bit before. I'm going to touch on it again because Chad just hit on the part right there. I felt like it was pretty big. We kind of targeted crypto people at first, and now we're kind of targeting these collectors. I think I said this in Chad's interview early on. I think that was a genius move by VeVe and Akomi. I don't know if they did it on purpose. I'm expecting they did, but the reason why is because I felt like if they targeted collectors, hardcore Batman, Superman, Marvel, Disney collectors first, there would be no market. There would be no marketplace, secondary marketplace, because the collectors collect and they hold. So they'd be holding a lot of this stuff. Who flips? Crypto. So I felt like they were just dangling the fruit, dangling these crazy IPs right in front of all the crypto heads that are getting in real quick, flipping it, stimulating that marketplace, getting that moving. And now we start to target these collectors, which I think is just genius.
Again, it's going to be filled with a strong foundation, you know?
Why don't you take this one first, Joe?
No, I think so too. I think we're going to be long term. I'm going to keep putting money in as it goes, just because I believe in the project, and I think we're all on the same page of where this is going. We stuck it out this long. Things are still selling out in a bear market where no one's typing in VeVe on Google, and it's being sustained by the community that's still that's here. Like, I don't know how many people are new that are coming into the app right now to see their money go down, just because if you look over the last 2 months, it's been nothing but down. So I feel like the core user base has been keeping this thing afloat, which is a good sign in my opinion, because it means that there's still a lot of belief in the project, and we know that there's those catalysts out there that are going to come, and we have that faith. And when we put out a video that has FUD in the title or whatever it is, it's just to let the people know, like, look, this needs to happen first, or this needs to happen next. Right. And we follow it up by a FOMO video, so like we'll be called Moon Boys, FUD Boys. We've been called every day, right? It's because we believe in the project. That's why we're here. We're making videos every day. We wouldn't do that if we thought the VeVe was a trash app. Like,
facts.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know what I mean?
And I would say, like, in terms of when you say going hard in, like, we it's all what comes down to risk tolerance. In the end, for us, like, we love VeVe, and I believe chipping away at it for us is more suited. We're committed to the project. We're here for the long term. But like, I wouldn't go take.
I feel like these guys were exactly where I was, you know, after we had that run up to 1 penny and came back down, and we're at, you know, quote unquote all-time lows during that summer 2021. I just kept chipping away. I just kept buying, putting in money. People are calling me crazy, right? All kinds of stuff. 6 months from them, instead of calling me crazy, people are asking me, how did I do it? People are asking, how did you grow that collection? It's like, you don't want to, you know, go all in when, well, you could. I mean, it all depends on your situation, but going all in after everything's boomed, after everything's perfectly, you know, laid out, it looks like a perfect situation. It's probably going to be too late for a huge opportunity. If you believe in the project, if you believe in the vision, the team, these collectibles, the IP brands, when everybody's fearful, that's usually not financial advice, but usually the time to go hard. And when people are fearful, when there's concerns, when there's doubt, uncertainty, that's fun. And so when that's happening, that's where, you know, master collectors are made, as I would say in VeVe's terms.
Take a loan to buy, for example. Yeah. Some people do that when they invest, right? They write off the interest, they take loans, they purchase, and the hope is that the rate of return will beat their loan rate, right? So, like, I wouldn't do anything crazy. It's still, an NFT space is still a very speculative space. It's still very early. You might need your money. Like, the more dangerous thing is that you put it in, and then something unexpected happens, and you have to pull your money out, and you can't wait it out for when it finally comes to fruition. So that's why I kind of just chip away at it. So the money I'm putting in is really money I don't need for a very long time.
Right.
Even though I would love to go and pump in, you know, a massive initial amount, but I've done what I can at this time, and then life continues, and there's other things too. There's other investments, there's obviously expenses and costs to live your lifestyles. Okay, Chad, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now? Like, how are you maneuvering and stick handling the current market conditions? You've obviously been in here for like a long time, so you've had an amazing, you know, accumulation phase. You know, you went through the pump phase, and then now you're back in the bear market phase. How did you just maneuver? What kind of personal moves did you make? And what are you going to probably do in the future going forward?
Yeah, so I think the most difficult part is that, you know, everybody's got like these long-term visions for VeVe, and that I think, like, you know, there's a great chance that, you know, people that are like holding for the long term are going to make a lot of money. But I think, you know, if you're in a position like me, where you're like more of an average person, you're not a big time millionaire, like taking profits is something that I've done, you know, a few times. And the first time that I did it was more for necessity, because I was like, had a house and a wedding to pay for, and I didn't really time it, because I was just like, oh damn, like, you know, I don't want to cut into savings. Let me see what I can get rid of some of these, you know, quote unquote JPEGs to my wife at the time. And then this time I like timed it better. So I actually sold some stuff off, you know, like not during the peak, but just a few things. And And I think that, it's important for people to kind of, especially in gems, to take those gems, January, February, if you notice like a huge market cycle. And the problem that we all have, I think, is like once you had an NFT that's like a grail or something that you've like spent so much money on, you're like, oh, I'm just going to hold this. And there's a good chance, like you guys talked about earlier, that it does like a 10x or whatever, whenever overnight. But at the same time, like if you have 40,000 gems, the amount of damage that you can do from that, especially if there's like another catalyst, like let's say like Darth Vader comes out, and the secret rare 1,000 editions are going for like 2.3K, and you stack like 17 of them. Guarantee you, if there's another catalyst, that thing's going to 40K, and then you're now got $1 million in the app. That's literally one move you can make. So that's what I keep thinking.
So did you have, let's say, a plan initially when you first came onto the project? You knew you were in incredibly early. Did you have a plan in your mind saying, I'm going to wait for a pump. If it hits this price, I'm going to sell? Or you were saying it was just strictly kind of due to your own personal needs, and there was no like specific plan in terms of when to exit? It was just more like, I'll buy it. If it goes up, I'll decide then with the house money.
Yeah. So for me, it was like what I learned, from just like my collecting experience is like only some things will stand out over time. And so my goal early on was just to be like, okay, what are those things? And originally, because we thought scarcity wasn't going to play a big factor, as it certainly has now, is that we thought like golden booglies, Donnies, those things were going to be selling for millions and millions of dollars, because we thought that scarcity would never exist on VeVe again as we got more users. So my thing was like identifying those grails and then stacking on them. And so like another example is like when Superman came out, I got like 10 or 11 of those. But like looking back, I would have, if I knew the price that Superman was going to go to, I would have bought like, hundreds if I could have, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, those are the things. And early on, there was only a few people that were buying into popularity, and they could see the big picture. And it took me a while to actually see that until it like hit me like a ton of bricks one day. And so I'm looking at that same factor now, like, okay, Marvel comic #1 SR, there's a lot of comic book collectors, but I'm like, if this thing hits every kid around the world, first ever Spider-Man in my head makes more sense, because it's not as niche of a market. But I could be totally wrong. Like, we don't know what's going to happen until those big volume of people comes in. So yes, that was kind of like my, my original strategy was just go after the grails, which I thought at the time were those big flex pieces. And so I bought the Golden Moogly by literally selling off Tots. You know what I mean? And that was just like, looking back, I was like, oh, I'm so dumb. But at the time, like, people thought that was the flex piece then, and that was the cool piece then.
That was a cool one. And going forward, go ahead.
So I was just going to ask him, like, I guess going on top of your question there, now with all the current market conditions, do you weigh your gems more than your then is your gem to collectible ratio any different than it was before, or are you still all collectible like how most people have been? Like, what's the strategy now?
Yeah, so I still have like just 15K gems that I've literally like haven't touched. Like, they're just kind of sitting there, and I don't bite things as quick as I used to, because it's not that kind of market anymore where like you could grab a low man and then reflip that right away. Like, you can get lucky and find like a super deal, but that's if you're like obsessed with the market. So right now I'm kind of in a holding pattern, and so I've just got like some grails that are left. I've got like cash, and I'm just waiting for like that next big opportunity to then go back at it. But I think like people, I think a lot of people are like really into the MCP. And so for me, even I'm just getting like, if there's cheap comics that are like $4, I'm like, let me grab a few of these, get some on. Like, you know what I mean? It's a no-brainer, especially given our conversation earlier about MCP. So obviously I'm still kind of like try for that, but I'm not like obsessed with MCP, because like I said, I've seen it in Pokemon so many times where you're getting like packs and these cards are worth like nothing, bro. Like they're worth cents. And so it's like, that's the way that I'm viewing VeVe now. Is like, man, this thing's going to be so massive where there's literally going to probably be billions of editions eventually. And that, like, you can't presume that everybody's going to be collecting worldwide. So you got to know what's going to stick.
So do you play the drops? What's that like?
I mean, I went for today for fun. Yeah. Like I was like maybe I'll get
I think
first.
Just to touch on that, I think that's where we're at right now. A lot of these drops, I feel like it can be misleading for maybe people who just joining, coming in January, February, seeing everybody's accounts booming. They think it's like an investment opportunity every drop. And so I think lately a lot of these drops have been kind of more so for fun, for collectors type thing. And so I think it's important to kind of differentiate investment opportunities on drops and then some drops that are, just for fun, just for collecting, because that's going to be a big difference. I feel like sometimes people who just come to the app without knowing anything may just feel like every drop's huge investment piece. And so I think that's where people get maybe hurt because of that.
Ursula, and I got a 967 Ursula. So I took that, but like you talked about, it's a bit of a lotto.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'll skip, man. Like there's been a lot of, especially the same NFT in different poses from an artist that's not hugely famous. I'm like, I just don't see the upside long term. Not nothing against them, but I mean, I would rather have like a one-of-one art from them on OpenSea as an example than something that's like 60,000 editions or whatever. But it depends on who it is, and everybody has their own preference.
That's a good point. I'm surprised the artists haven't come out with one-of-one or tried to push for that. You know what I mean?
We did just get that community update video where they said the Artist Alley will be rolling out on the VeVe web platform. And that's when we can start to see one-of-ones from artists, which is going to be game-changing. Like, can you imagine when we start seeing on the news like a $5 million piece of a one-of-one artist collectible, artwork gets sold? That's going to be around the news.
Because that would probably bring a lot of eyes to that side of the fence.
It's true. It's so true. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think like VeVe did talk about they want to do like a one-on-one or one-of-one soon enough. So that'd be kind of nice to have. But yeah, man.
Another question for you is, what are your thoughts on the potential of the VeVeverse when it comes to digital land? Do you plan on participating in that? And what do you know about it that you can share with us that maybe gets you excited and how you're gonna do it? They were saying the VeVeverse might even be ready, hashtag soon, as early as this year. But what do you think?
Yeah, so I've got this really interesting thing, like we have like Elon Musk, right? That's like preparing for humans to travel to Mars. And I personally see things differently. I think that people wouldn't want to risk their lives, especially their humanoid and their body, to essentially go off this crazy expedition. So when people talk about like interstellar travel, I'm like, I can only see that from like robots. Like I think humans are really going to be into this metaverse, into these digital things.
Touch on a huge part I want to go over. Al Khan said that we're going to be able to own things digitally that you never would have thought you've been possible to own in the real world. What Chad just said is huge. Spaceships. I mean, my whole kind of huge speculation is that one day maybe we'll see Elon Musk on VeVe, whether that's Tesla or SpaceX. I think we're going to see it one day. And, imagine owning a trip to the moon or something like that, like 1/100, and you get to have the whole experience in, AR, going around the moon or going to Mars, something crazy like that, to where you could have that over your showroom. Now, anyone who goes to your showroom can look up and maybe experience that as well. Like things like that would be mind-blowing.
In depth. And so my contention is that like we will all be working in the metaverse eventually to some extent. And I think that like VeVeverse land is going to be, your one-way ticket to like financial freedom if you play it right. That being said, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if it's going to be like a portal and then it's going to have all the big brands around it. And you're going to fly off into Disney's metaverse and this metaverse. I mean, and I think the other big thing that I've learned from Trevor and from other gaming developers is that interoperability, especially between different game designs, and it's like new scripts. It's almost like you're writing one universe for VeVe and then like another script for Disney as an example. So like this is very complicated. So I feel like when people talk about like metaverses and we're all going to be like in our Spider-Man suits going from one thing to another, like I don't think people understand like the complexity. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I think that's like 10 to 15 years out. And so I think like the long-term vision is like right now it's going to start off more gamification. It's going to be more simple, like more about the social aspect, and then over time the graphics will get better, and then there'll be AR, and then the VR will come into play. But I just think it's like such a long process. But I do think that getting land super early and then waiting on it for like 5 to 8 years, when then the whole world starts to transition, that's when people are like, it's going to be better than buying a house, in my opinion, because especially if there's like 5 to 10 metaverses that really are like the cream of the crop, and if you've got a big chunk in there, then holy shit,
Yeah, it's a very exciting thing, and I like how you mentioned about having it connected. There's going to be so many different metaverses. I know there's small startup companies that are trying to come up with ways to blend them together, and then you mentioned the time frame as well, where you have Facebook and Zuckerberg there saying,
I almost look at metaverses as a whole bunch of different internet sites. And when websites first came out, the whole internet first came out, it was so bland, and it was, just now, like it's so simple just to log in and go to a different URL, different website. I think metaverses will have that same thing to where you can just hop into this one, hop into that one. Maybe it's portals or whatever the case is, but I see that being almost frictionless at some point. This is all pre that.
Official statement was 10 to 15 years for the glasses, but maybe verbally he mentioned 5 to 10. So I think we're definitely a long way out. the digital land gets me excited too. I don't think there's any real experts. I mean, there are people who work in the space for sure.
Yeah.
But like the more you learn about something, what you find with many things in life, the more you realize you don't know. So it's forever learning, trying to come up with new things.
It's already starting to become part of daily life slowly. The example would just be like that Coke drop. You know what I mean? That Coke drop was an ad. It was an ad to just bring out to show off the product, right? And I guess a little test for them to see how it's received and how it affects their sales. Maybe, who knows? Nice mug.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a great mug. But again, I think that's the start, like you just said, of the biggest brands in the world using VeVe as a promotional and marketing tool. Look at Disney Plus. The first time Disney license ever came out with a collectible and NFT was on the VeVe platform, and it came with utility of a Disney Plus subscription. That was just a little, I think, teaser test of what we can do.
That's sweet.
But yeah, no, I guess on the same lines of the future and the metaverse and all that, there's obviously one elephant that everyone avoids on the VeVe AMAs, and that is above your left shoulder there.
Yeah.
Pokemon. What are the pirates' thoughts on the Pokemon, and are they coming? When do you think they're coming? How do you think they're coming? Will they be tied to Pokemon Go? That's all the questions in one.
Wow, nice. So yeah, so I think when Pokemon drops, I think it doesn't matter where you're at or what you're doing. Like, you need to stop, get your shit together, and focus, because that'll be, I think, a life-changing opportunity. Just kind of like what we saw in Disney Week, but I think it'll be even more amplified because people collect Pokemon, and I just feel like the target audience for crypto and NFTs, Logan Paul, all these guys, even Lewis Morgan, it's all around like Pokemon. And I think it is the biggest franchise in the world. It's like $100 billion franchise, but I think the collectability aspect is huge within it. And I think, Foster did a video on this, but Pokemon Go had like 160 million downloads or something like that.
Yeah.
And so if you can imagine, with NFTs, doesn't matter if it's VeVe or not, people need to get on that. Now, the problem that I think is going to happen is that Pokemon's going to be so intense on VeVe that people are all going to get the market's going to bully like it's never bled before.
Yeah, I agree.
Down to like $30, and people are just going to have all these gems just cooking, and then there's going to be like 50,000 editions of Pikachu, and then it's going to drop, and people are going to be paying like 10 grand, and then it's just going to drop significantly. So my contention is I'm actually going to be saving a large amount of money and getting all the stuff that's grails that isn't Pokemon. And then when people are done with the Pokemon phase, they're going to circulate that money back into other VeVe collectibles. And that's when I'm going to cycle back. Doesn't mean I'm not going to partake on the drops or anything like that, but I just feel as though that wave will just...
That kind of shift right there is, so crucial right there. And I mean, it's a great strategy. We've seen it time after time again. When Disney dropped, Disney created a huge opportunity for everything else in the market being really, really cheap. And everything eventually, some people capitalized on that, picked up a lot of the Disney or a lot of the collectibles in the market that were really, really cheap because of that gem squeeze, and then went back and got the Disney collectibles. Like right now, I mean, imagine if you waited on the Disney collectibles until now, right? And you were grabbing all the collectibles that did dip hard because of that week. So that's a great strategy right there. I mean, we've seen it work out in the past. So I think I think a lot of it's going to depend on when it drops. If we have only the NFT, if we have MTL, the edition counts, all that kind of stuff will depend. But that's definitely a great example of another strategy.
Just be too steep, and it'll be like nearly impossible because all the
market's open.
People that I guess have a lot of money, the whales, are all going to eat that up. So yeah. And do I think VeVe?
Let me just check the market real quick. Ronnie Lato, first one to let me know market's up. Let's go. We only got 3 secret rares available, going for 140. Well, actually, a lot more now available. Let me refresh it. Still only says 3, but we probably got about 10 of them. Markets or prices for the secret rares down to 128. We got the ultra rares at 34. We got the rares at 15. We got the uncommons at 630, and the commons at 330. It's wild, right? I don't think mine's been delivered just yet. So we got the commons and the uncommons still under retail. I feel like this air filter, air purifier helped out for a while, but now it's pretty bad again. Yeah, mine's still not delivered. I only have 1 order pending. I only got 1 today. We have 14.7K out of 20K editions left for the common to be delivered still, so prices will probably come back down a little bit, I think.
He's got it. I think they do. I think like they've been teasing us enough about it. I think obviously there's so many things that they want to fix and do before it happens. But the other part now too is we're seeing a lot of competition, like Hero and Recur, and I mean some of it's good, some of it bad. But so we could even see Pokemon do their own thing, and I feel like Disney's.
That's what I was getting at. I know the Pokemon Go thing is they've already built up the 1 point how many billion people on Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Is it in their best interest to start something else and pull people away from that? That's or is it going to be tied together? Is that the only way that they can do it?
Man, I'm still surprised to this day. Like as much as I knew VeVe was a strong competitor for Disney, like them getting Disney, I was like, with their first ever Disney NFTs when they're building a metaverse, it actually just didn't make sense to me. I was like, there must be some kind of collaboration. So
that's what I mean. Like Disney's building their own metaverse. Disney gave VeVe their entire portfolio IP of digital collectibles. Like, think about that. What does that mean, right? Disney didn't just give a VeVe, just Disney Animation Studios. They didn't give them just Pixar. They didn't give them just, all the other different branches that Disney owns. Disney owns ESPN. Like so many different National Geographic, like literally VeVe has Disney's entire IP portfolio. Insanity. And Disney's building a metaverse. Like,
if I was my own company, like I would want to do my own thing personally, especially if I'm Pokemon. But then again, like if VeVe really has such a smooth platform and it's a very complicated process, then it's like, okay, well, these guys know what they're doing. Like, let's just give it off to them. A lot of people will be like, well, there's bots, there's this, there's that. But I think it's, it's getting smoother. They're figuring it out. So, I mean, it's still a catch-22. Like it's not no 100% either way. But all I know is that it doesn't matter if Pokemon's coming out. Like I'm taking my line of credit off the house. Like I'm getting ready. My wife's already knows. I'm like, I tell her this like every morning she wakes up like, hey, Pokemon, when it comes, you better.
So a couple things to add to that. I think you're a genius. You just came up with a great video idea. Secret Rare Spider-Man's going to $30. That'd be a great topic. But Besides that, the thing with Pokemon, I reached out to Niantic. They haven't got back to me. I don't know if they ever will. But I'm curious to know like what they're licensing.
Gotta go for it.
You know this, like, does Niantic, like the Pokemon company allows Niantic to use their Pokemon, and they actually invested in Niantic and gave them money to help basically get that project off the ground. They were a 30-person company. Now they're 800 when they first started. Kind of reminds me of VeVe a little bit because they're around that 30 range as well. But do you think that there'll be any, like we talk about the Pokemon licensing, but do you think Niantic could be a roadblock at all? Like, how do you think that's happening?
Sure. I mean, like if I was, kind of the umbrella overseeing Pokemon, I mean, I would be a roadblock. Like I'd probably make that decision, or at least try to steer Pokemon into a direction that was beneficial for the larger being, like the larger company, so to speak. So I could see that definitely, being a roadblock. And the other big thing too is that with printing of Pokemon cards, like I think like we talked about this, but man, like there's so many cards that like there's very few that like kind of make it, and so people may also have a misconception like, what if they come out with these NFTs and there's millions and people are like buying into Charizards and whatever. Like, so I think these things can be completely killed off too. So it depends on the type of market that they're trying to hit. It might not be these whales that we presume are like, it could be like almost like Pokemon Go, where there's just like ample opportunity for everybody. You know what I'm trying to say? Like Pikachu could run an edition size of like 1 million, and then that worth will not be there. And so we might all be going crazy about what this might mean. But unless there's like, 10,000 editions or less, or some of these first ever ones, I mean, I just don't see that maybe standing the test of time. It could just...
Wonder what they're going to do with the edition count of Pokemon. It is going to be interesting to see what happens. And like the first edition Pokemon's first appearance, I wonder if we're going to get like a smaller 10,000 mint number for these first edition ones. And then as we continue to go, and then like another Pikachu comes out that's not first edition. Like, I don't know, maybe that probably wouldn't happen for a little bit longer. But like even today, they release, more Charizards, but it's not that first edition Charizard. So I wonder if VeVe's going to have that same type of rollout. I'm curious to see what the edition count will be for Pokemon.
Dynamics and different things that could happen. And that's what people don't realize, is that like we already have shit on this app that's already like insane how few there are, what they mean, the significance of them, like first Marvel comic, first Batman, first Superman. I mean, we can keep going off here, but it's just like this stuff, in my opinion, is so monumental. And the other thing that people don't understand is like, unlike collectability, where things like in statue collecting, they all care about like what looks better, what's more detailed, what's nicer, and you know who the artist is. But the thing is, they don't really have blockchain. And with blockchain, especially if these things can be continually upgraded through like the VeVe app, how are people going to distinguish value long term when you have like Recur and like 10 other NFT platforms that are all dropping Superman? And they're all like upgrading, and then they're just going to get more and more complex and better. And so, like, in my opinion, you distinguish that with the timestamp. And like, don't get me wrong, like interoperability will play a huge component as well. But I definitely think people are underestimating what the first means. I'm not saying that it's like, you know, 100% of the equation. It could be like 8% or 20%, but it's a pretty significant component.
That's a good.
I would definitely say that's a great point right there, because I think it's going to hold a lot of weight being the first. You know, I talked to people like Dan Schawbel, who thinks, you know, utility will play even a bigger role. And I think it's going to be a combination. I think both are right. I think having a huge weight being first, I think having the crazy utility that VeVe plans to have for a lot of these will play out longer term, especially for these bigger brands like Disney. I don't think it's going to be short-term utility stuff, but longer term, I see that definitely having a huge utility. The fact that Disney's building their own metaverse and Disney gave VeVe their entire IP portfolio, like, I think there's some kind of integration that will probably happen eventually. So I'm definitely excited to see that play out.
The thing you kind of touched on it there, that they are upgrading as they go here. We saw it like even with the Ghostbusters car like not too long ago, a couple of days ago, drivability on the DeLorean, like that type of stuff. If new things new technology does come out, what's to stop VeVe from making that Superman more realistic looking and just upgrading the existing one for those holders, right? That's the one good thing about having a centralized platform, that they can always make you have the best of the best, I guess.
We did a video on that, on how like if you own that NFT, how would you feel if VeVe changed it on you? And I think
this is a huge debate right now in the community, and I see both sides, because, you know, the whole thing is like, you own this NFT, you know, you can't change it, and some people like the first original nostalgia feeling, and that makes a lot of sense too. I know there's a lot of complaints with the Rewind Collective original ones getting updated, animated. Some people like the original static versions. I wonder if the future, when we see like upgrades to these previous collectibles, if there's kind of like that on off switch, and it gives that user or collector kind of like a choice. That way, maybe if you click that Clio Rewind Collective animation, you can click it on or off to show the animation or to show it the original way. I think that could be a big feature maybe in the future. But I'm definitely excited for what they can do. I mean, I'm under the camp that I like things being upgraded, but I can understand the other way for sure. The thing is that you own these 100%. Don't get that confused. You own the non-fungible token of that Superman. Now, the reason why you can see that in augmented reality in the colors that you see, maybe the upgraded gold cape, that's all, you know, upgrades on the VeVe app. So you still own that Superman no matter what. But they can change the visuals and the aesthetics because that's the utility the VeVe app provides.
Some people said maybe they should give the person the option on whether they want it changed or not, because if they own it, then they should kind of have the decision on whether or not it should be allowed to be changed. So that was a cool, like, just a cool thing to talk about. I mean, you brought up really great points, though. I think I would want it to be changed if it's going to improve it, give it more utility, like driving the drivable DeLorean. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the possibilities are endless. Like, I think we're just so early in this technology and what these mean. But the ownership aspect is interesting because, like you said, if they're changing it and it's kind of without your own knowledge, then do you really own that NFT? And this comes back to the whole thing that I think a lot of people have a roadblock for VeVe is like, they're like, well, I want to be able to take that out. And then if they say there's a change coming, you could bring it back into the system to get it changed and take it back out again. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but the interesting thing that I'm seeing here is like you have the non-licensed NFTs, like, which are like the Bored Apes and whatever that are doing really, really well. And then you have like this new licensed game. And I feel like they might actually create almost like licensed wallets, so to speak. That will be like somewhat decentralized, but like different. I don't know. There's so many things that could still happen, but I just like to, like, I when I first got into VeVe, I thought one day I could take like, these grails out, put it on like a cold wallet and just like lock it, like just put it like somewhere nobody could find it, like bury it in the friggin' dirt, and then show up in 10 years and then be like, look at this $1 million.
We will be able to eventually do that on the cold wallet. It's kind of like the Akomi secure wallet like we just talked about. It's probably not highest on the priority list right now, but that's gonna be exciting to see. You know, an actual secure cold wallet for these VeVe NFTs and only Omi. That'll be a big deal.
Stick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my interpretation of it. So I'm hoping that, like, I'm not saying it's going to get to that, but I'm hoping there's some kind of, you know, transition to where it's more your own than not.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for some people it is a touchy topic, but
Yeah.
another thing just in terms of your favorite collector item. So were you a physical, I see that you have it in the background, were you a
Yeah.
physical collector long before VeVe? Is that what maybe helped draw you to the digital space as well?
Dude, huge nerd, man. Like, massive nerd. And like cars, statues, like cards, and like just everything you could imagine. Like, and so it was my parents that like stopped me because I just was like obsessed, and like my whole room was all messed up, like, you know. And Pokemon was like the number one thing that I collected, and I was just going too hard. And then my like parents were like, you need to like stop, like you gained weight, like you need to go outside, you need to like play sports,
Go play some sports.
yeah, you like you need to focus on school. And
Yeah.
then I just like my life changed at that point, and then like I got into sports like pretty heavy, and then I came back at like 19 to like 23 and started like selling off a lot of my Pokemon stuff, and then sold a lot more back right before the boom happened in March 2020. So if I would have like kept a lot of the stuff I had back then, like, holy shit, I don't know where I'd be at now. I wouldn't be like, you know, massively rich, but I'm saying like it would have put a pretty good dent in my life. You know, things like that, like you look at back then, like a Gold Star Charizard, it was like $600 you can pick it up for. Now they're like 25 grand at a PSA 10, you know? And so stuff like that is so crazy to see the, you know, the evolution. So that's kind of what when VeVe came back, it like hit this side of me, and my wife was like, I don't know who this guy is. Like, she's never seen him, right? So she's like,
Wait till Pokemon comes, right?
yeah, exactly. She was used to the guy like on his bike in the kayak going on a run to being like, hey babe, I'm just going to the comic book store. See you.
Yeah. I gotta match my mid number. She's like, what's that? What's mid
Yeah,
number?
exactly.
That's
Need
hilarious.
some gum, mid the gum. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, gents, listen, man. Like, you guys are very intelligent. I know, you know, you're very Canadian to say that you're not, because that's what typically Canadians do. But I watch your channel, and like a lot of the stuff you guys are saying is really great, and you're just, you know, very honest and transparent about what's happening in the market. And so, you know, I definitely recommend you know, people to go check you guys out. It's you know, and I'd love to have you guys back on this channel whenever you get some time, and just so, you know, really see you guys start to evolve, because, you know, considering you've only been here for 4 months, you definitely created a pretty solid following, and we're more than that now, right? You're 7 months, started in November, so.
Yeah, I think YouTube we started in January, but we definitely appreciate those kind words, and we definitely think that you're part of the inspiration, of course, of us starting the YouTube channel. Joe's a big YouTube guy. He brought me into this. Okay,
It better go up.
Yeah.
Joe's a big YouTube guy, so definitely I want to echo that. Like, I'm sure it's possible that there's people watching right now that haven't subbed to Pirates. Make sure you sub to Pirates.
And there's people here who are gonna find it through our Twitter when you give us the link. So guys, hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you follow Chad. He's always putting out quality.
Superstar
content.
Chad.
Yeah,
Superstar Chad, let's
Yeah,
go.
Superstar Chad's one of the reasons why we have a YouTube channel. I'm being honest, like, we were watching, you were like, this is one of the few guys who actually quality content. There's openings in this space here, so that's why we're doing it. So he's one of the OGs that we followed. So make sure you guys go follow him too.
Sick, man.
Yeah, and of course, again, thank you for having us on. We really appreciate you bringing us to your channel, having an opportunity to talk VeVe. We love VeVe. We talk about it every day. And we also love talking about it with other people who love VeVe. And of course, you are that avenue, another local person that we can share our thoughts and have these discussions. So appreciate it. Again, subscribe to Superstar Chad NFT Pirates.
You guys are too good.
Yeah, we love your channel, and we love everything that you do as well. The fact that you're a real OG whale. So I think some people would love to follow you to see your personal moves and how you maneuver things going forward. So thanks again.
Thanks, man. And I'm just a small fish now compared to some of these other guys. The more people you meet, the more you realize that you're just in a big
Yeah,
water.
it's that we did it on our live. We talked about that. Like, what is a whale?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
one guy's like, I got 100 grand in the app. I'm not a whale. And another guy's like, you know, I got 5 grand in the app. The person who has 25 grand, he's the whale. So it's all relative.
It is all relative.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, thanks a ton, man. Listen, really appreciate you coming on, and we'll do it again soon, right? So you're gonna see these faces a lot more. So thanks again, gents. It was a lot of fun, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great video from them. Superstar Money. We got NFT Pirates, Chad. Shout out to both of them. Willow, appreciate you big time. Take it easy, fam. Appreciate you. Common gang today. At least you got one, right, Willow? Top right, I believe that was Chad, NFT Pirates. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. I like that. Yeah, just alien. Maybe like a name tag on the back. Like instead of done, just alien. Merch is definitely going to be coming. I'm going to give an update real quick on the market prices. And I did just bring all my Funko Pops down here. So I think next video tomorrow morning, I'm going to go over my entire Funko Pop collection. I'm going to talk about all the ones that I have. I mean, I don't think I have anything too crazy. But I know some people are liking the Michael Jordan special edition and stuff like that. Just to go over some of my favorite characters. We got the secret rare from today down to $98. The ultra rare $29.99. We got the rare 14. We got the uncommon at $4.49. We got the common at $3. This is what I mean by I think of the MCP program. Once people start seeing the benefits of what you can use your lottery tickets for and how much that's actually impactful, I think if it is that impactful, and I think it will be, that's when we start to see a lot of these filler comics maybe start to gain value. Kind of like what Chad was saying. You know, Pokemon, not every Pokemon card, whatever the case is, not every Pokemon is that highly sought after. But could you imagine if Pokemon said, okay, you can trade in your non-popular cards for a chance to get, you know, a first edition Charizard? That would, I think, increase the demand for a lot of those different non-valuable filler Pokemon cards. So I think the same concept is going to be kind of for this. So, but again, I don't think you should fill your collection all just because of MCP. A little bit of a combination, I think, is probably a solid, safe way to go. We'll be whales in a couple of years. That's a fact. Shout out to the vault. We have lots of grails, but not a whale. Right. Have lots of grails, but not a whale. Are you saying, is that what Chad said? Just tag me on Twitter, C Rios. I'm going to take a look at it. Once I see it, I'm going to retweet it. I don't get tagged sometimes for some reason. I'm going to find it in a little bit, C Rios, but I'm going to be signing off. Appreciate you guys big time for tuning in today. I will be streaming the drop tomorrow. That's going to be fun. Alex G just put out a tweet. Shout out to Miss Rose for letting me know. I just saw it. Gave it a little retweet. If you guys want to check it out, this is what the little animation GIF looks like. Little teaser for tomorrow. I think that's going to be a pretty cool one. Oh, man. And the fact this is dropping before May. Man, my collectibles, how we doing, fam? With the super chat, appreciate you big time. So honored to chat with you on the Twitter Spaces. Hey, my collectibles had a great time with you and everyone else on the Twitter Spaces. It was great just to come back in with the fam. I know for me, it's been months since I came back in the Twitter Spaces. Felt a little nervous at first with everyone, but, you know, it was a great time. I'm glad, you know, I saw my collectibles. You made amazing points in there. One thing that you said that I really liked, that I touched on in this live stream today, was how you talked about how I loved it, my collectibles. Yeah, so many OGs in that chat. I had a great time. I think what you talked about, how the one thing that stood out to me was how you talked about MTL will be something that, you know, lets everybody, the masses, come in, ease of access, not a lot of friction. That's going to help really widespread, you know, have the masses. And then I think Omega NFT, like you said, will increase the liquidity big time. And that's when I start to see a lot of these floors raise up, the value in a lot of these collectibles. That web app will allow people to put in more gems than just a 600 gem limit. That really limits the liquidity in the app right now. So the combination of both, I think, is how you take over the world. And that's exactly what VeVe's doing. MTL, have that ease of access for the masses to come in easily. And then have Omega NFT to have your big whales come in, increase the value of a lot of these collectibles. And they're going to get out of reach. And that's why I think renting will be such a big part in the future. My collectibles is turned into a legend himself. Let's go. One of my favorite content creators, one of the most positive people out there. I absolutely love it. Energy, appreciate you guys big time for tuning in today. Like I said, I will be signing off, so you guys can catch me tomorrow morning for the live stream. Same place, same time. I'm signing out. It's your boy, Johnny Dunn. We out, fam.